Hey, this is Corey from Wolfpack Woodcraft, where we focus on self-reliance. And 5 years ago, I was talking about camping because one of the easiest ways of becoming self-reliant is through camping. If you can find comfort in the middle of the woods, you can find comfort anywhere. And so I started with a camping channel and it has evolved into what it is today. But I want to look back 5 years ago, March of 2017, and look at my top 10 best performing videos of the time and just kind of reminisce and go through how my thoughts have changed and how my opinions may have differed from back then. And so let's start off with number 10. My 10, which is crazy, is the 511 Rush 24 backpack video, which is one of my best performing videos of all time. At the time it was my 10th best, but now it's one of like my top 10 of all time best from the past 5 years. It really took off and a lot of people really enjoyed that video. And honestly, we just did a 5-year update video on it. We had quite a few people asking Caroline and I to give an update of our thoughts on that backpack, and so I will leave a link to that in the description box down below if you want to see how we feel. When it comes to the 24, we don't use that one as much as we use the 72. We use the 72 a lot more often, but you can watch the video on that one. Number 9 is cost versus saving when buying a wool blanket. Now in 2017, I had cheaper blankets and they were itchy and pokey and all the things that you hear about wool that no one likes, they were that. And then I had my Pathfinder wool blanket, which was $200, and it was soft and it was warm and it was awesome, and it's still one of my favorite blankets. But so in the video I said buy once, cry once. I use that buy once, cry once mentality where you spend the money now and you get something that's going to last you forever. Because if you spend a little bit of money and buy something that's not comfortable, and it might be warm, but if it's not comfortable, you're not going to be using it. It's not going to be the thing you first grab when you need to warm up. You know what I mean? And so you're not really getting the value out of it. There's a train. You're not getting the value out of it. Yes, you spent the money, you spent a little bit of money, you didn't spend a lot of money, but because you're not using it, you're not getting any value out of it. Where the more expensive one is softer, it's more comfortable, it's more enjoyable to use, meaning you're going to gravitate to it and you're going to use it all the time, meaning you're going to get a lot more value out of the money that you spent. And since then, I reviewed the Ektos 100% wool blanket for $50. At the time it was $50. And I still prefer the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is so much more comfortable. I like using the Pathfinder, and if I was going camping or if I was relying on a blanket, I would rely on the Pathfinder. But now, from a prepper, self-reliant, now that we focus more on being home and taking care of the things around us, buying 4 of those Ektos and just saving them for a rainy day is a pretty good deal. You can get 4 for the price of 1 Pathfinder, and with those 4, instead of warming 1 person, that's 4 people, or you can double them up for 2 people and be just as warm or even warmer than the Pathfinder. You can use them to cover doors and windows to help keep heat inside. There's a lot of things you can do with those wool blankets, and having 4 of them can really make a space a lot more comfortable. They can really help a lot more people. So if you're just storing them for a rainy day, I suggest the cheaper ones. But if you're going to be relying on that wool blanket and you're going to be using it all the time, spend the money and get something that's a little thicker, a little softer, and a lot more comfortable. So my mind has changed since then, but not really. I still like the Pathfinder, the more expensive ones, but I have found the place and the purpose of the cheaper ones. My next video is Zippo Hacks, and so it wasn't even a hack. I actually have it in my pocket here. It's just the insert. So this is the Zippo insert. Back then I used the Vector Thunderbird insert, and it's just a butane insert for the Zippo. I carry it every day, and the reason that I like it so much is because it turns it into a torch lighter, and so you can put it upside down, it's easier to light candles, it's easier to light things with a torch than it is with a flame sometimes. The other advantage is the fuel doesn't evaporate, and that's huge for me because I'm not a smoker. The lighter is just in my pocket waiting to be used. It can be months before I actually use it, and if I use the original insert for the Zippo, when I went to use it, all my fuel would have had evaporated and it wouldn't work. But because I use that butane insert, the fuel's there. So even if I go months without using it, I can still rely on it to work. So I really like that Zippo insert. Like I said, I have the Zippo brand now. I like the fit and the finish. They're both really good. I like both of them. Because I have both, I use the Zippo. Number 7, this Charade. In the video back then I called it the Charade 240T, the spoon carving knife. And then I learned from the comment section that it's the 24OT, and the OT stands for old timer. And so it's a Charade 24OT spoon carver, and it works. It works really well, and I used it, and I still use it sometimes. The problem with it is the gouges, the straight gouges. They're so flimsy and they bend, and I can't really push hard on them, and I'm very careful with them. But that's the problem with them, is I have to be careful with it, and I'm always concerned that I might accidentally push too hard and it's going to snap and fly up in my face. And so I don't feel safe or comfortable using those tools, and so I don't use them. And so for the money, right, it's a good spoon carving knife. The hook knife works really well. I like it. It's easy to sharpen too. It dulls really fast, but it's easy to sharpen. I like the straight edge. The straight edge works really good. But all those other tools, I don't use them because I don't feel comfortable using them. And so again, it's, am I getting the value out of it? And I would say yes. At the time, it was only $20. And so to buy a more full tang carving knife, I think was $25. And so having something that I could fold up and was easy to carry, I could carry it in my pocket. Those other hook knives you can't really carry. They're hard to carry because you can't really get a sheath or anything for them. And so having something that I could fold up, throw in my backpack, not having to worry about it cutting holes in anything or cutting into anything, it is kind of a nice handy thing to have. It was very budget friendly, and so for what it is, I really like it. But again, I don't use the gouges, I don't use the other tools with it. I just use the hook knife. So take that for what it is. My 6th best video was knife terms. I talked about all the different knife terms that I use, and so the handle scales, the clip point, the Scandi grind, the saber grind, the ricasso, the choil, the finger choil, the finger groove, all these different things. I talked about all the different terms that I use when talking about knives, or if I'm explaining knives, the terms that I use, so that I could link to it. So when I did a knife review or I was talking about a knife and people were like, what are you talking about? I could link to that video and they would have all my terminology and everything. And it works. All those terms, I've had people tell me they call it something different, but they always know what I'm talking about. They always know exactly what it is I'm saying, what I'm describing, what I'm talking about. And so I kind of just stick with what I know. And so it is what it is. Number 5 is the Battle Box. I used to get a Battle Box every single month. I had a Battle Box subscription. I would get the advanced Battle Box every single month. I paid for it with my own money. And I would show my 3 favorite things from each box. And that month was the EDC box. Actually, this is the lighter from the EDC box. So I'll show a close-up of my lighter. Yeah, I've been using this for 5 years. Holy moly. That's crazy. You don't think about stuff like that. Yeah, this lighter's been in my pocket every day for 5 years. That's something, huh? You don't think about it, right? But yeah, so that's one of the things that was in it. There was a pen. that it's upstairs. I use it sometimes. Yeah, it's a good box. That month, it was a good box. I do not do battle box anymore. I found that some months, like the EDC month, I got a lot of really good stuff that I actually use, like the lighter. And then some months I got things that I've never used, I've never even looked at again. And for the money, I decided that it was in my best interest to spend that money on things that I'm guaranteed going to use instead of gambling on the products. And so I do not get BattleBox anymore. I haven't gotten it in a really long time. But I do miss it sometimes because sometimes you did get a really good deal. Sometimes I got like the Zippo lighter and the pen and the EDC box. I got a lot of really good stuff for not a lot of money. And so I miss it sometimes, but then sometimes I remember all those. I go upstairs and I got all this junk that I got from BattleBox. And then I'm like, that's why I don't do it anymore. My next video is basic camp gear, tents. And so my idea is I was just going to go through all the basic gear, like all the monotonous things that no one talks about because everybody knows about it, right? And so I just talked about tents. I talked about what they are, what they can do, the different kinds, like if it's a 4-person, it's probably only actually a 3-person, and I just talked about all the different things about tents, so that if somebody was fresh coming into the hobby, fresh coming into camping, and they have never heard of anything, they could find that video and they could learn the basics about tents. And I was gonna do it for like everything, like water filters, water jugs, coolers, tubs. I was gonna do it for everything, but that video didn't perform very well, and so I don't know if it didn't perform very well because I was just new and no one heard of me, and so nobody was watching my videos at all, or if it's just not something people were into or are into. But I kind of quit doing that and tried to switch to something else that people did care about, because my main focus of this channel is to create a group of people that can learn and grow together. And if nobody's watching the videos and nobody cares about the videos I'm making, nobody's learning anything. And so I like to switch my views. I like to try different things, because in the end, I just want us all to learn more. I want to learn more. I want you to learn more. And if you aren't interested in the videos, you're not learning anything, and you can't teach me anything. So I'm constantly pivoting and focusing on different things. When it comes to the basic camp gear series, no one was learning anything, and so I switched to something else. Next, so now we're in the top 3. My top 3 videos of March of 2017. The third one is knife sharpening tools. So I showed all of my knife sharpening tools. I talked about the differences between them. I talked about the ones that I liked, the ones I didn't like, and everything I own. And one of the things I think I talked about in that video is I have a Falkneven DC4. And that Falkneven DC4, I actually bought a new one because my other ones wore out, because that's all I used. My thought process was, that's the one that I have with me. When I'm camping, when I'm out in the woods, when I'm away from home, that's all I have. So I want to be the absolute best I can be with that tool. And so I only used that sharpener for a really long time, and I got really good at using it, actually. It's not good at sharpening knives. If you let your knife go dull, it's not going to bring the edge back. But for honing the edge and keeping it sharp, I got really good at keeping my knife sharp. And I used it for everything. I used it with scissors. I used it for my outdoor knives. I used it for my folders. I used it for my Leatherman. I used it for my kitchen knives. I used it for everything. And I just practiced and practiced and learned. And I got very good at it, and now I'm confident that if I'm in the middle of nowhere and I have my gear with me, I can take out that DC4 and I can keep my knife razor sharp the entire trip. It doesn't matter if I'm out there for 1 day or 10 days, my knife's going to be sharp because I'm confident I can use that DC4 to keep an edge. And so yeah, there are easier ways of sharpening knives. There are easier systems. There are better systems that are going to get your knife sharper. There are better systems that can bring your edge back if you let it go dull. There's much better systems, but I'm just glad that I took the time to learn that one, and I am very good at keeping my knife sharp now. And I think that that's a skill that has allowed me to be more confident to explore deeper into the woods, go deeper into different things, because I knew no matter what, I would always have a sharp knife. And so take that for what you will. My second most is tents versus hammocks. Now, in 2017, there was this big shift. Everybody went from tents to hammocks, and everybody needed hammock camping, hammock camping. Hammocks are so much better, so much better. And for me, I do like hammock camping. It is something that I have done. I do enjoy it, but I prefer tents. I feel that hammocks take a lot more finesse. You need to be able to adjust everything. You need to be able to find trees that are perfectly spaced out together. You need to be able to adjust the tarp to different configurations for different things. There's just a lot more to hammock camping than there is tent camping, because essentially you just find a piece of flat earth, you set up your tent, and you're done. You know, there is no adjusting really, there is no finagling. It just is what it is, and I prefer that. I find it easier. I find it a lot simpler. I don't have to think. I don't have to try to figure out. I don't have to guess if the trees are gapped out right. I don't have to guess if my tarp is set up correctly. I just do it and it's done. You know, and I prefer that kind of way of handling things. Just do it, get it done, move on to the next thing. Do that, get that done, move on to the next thing. And so I prefer tents over hammocks. And then my number one best performing video of March of 2017 was my Larry Roberts Genesis video, and I love that knife. I recently did a video of my top 5 favorite knives, and it's in the top 5. It's probably in the top 2. I love that knife. It's one of my favorites. It's always been one of my favorites. I've had it for 5 years now. I've used the heck out of it. It still looks brand new, and everything about it. I like the Scandi grind. I like the handle. The Larry Roberts has spacers in the handles, making it a little bit thicker. I really like that. I like the balance of it. I like everything about it. Everything. It's a perfect knife for me, and I use it all the time. It's my favorite. I really enjoy it. And those are the 10 best performing videos of March of 2017. Make sure to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed looking back with me. Make sure to subscribe, because next month we're going to be going over the top 10 videos of April of 2017. So if you're excited, thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and I can't wait to see you on my next video.